What's up, everybody? I'm Flash. This is One Man's Opinion, the show where we cover just about everything, and today we are talking about The Witcher, the unfortunate state of where The Witcher currently is. And I want to talk about this for a couple reasons. Number one, to be able to shine a little bit of light on what is going on over at Netflix and what is going on with Henry Cavill. For those of you who don't know, and in case anyone isn't aware of what's going on with The Witcher and why Henry Cavill is having to leave The Witcher. If anybody doesn't know about that situation, I want to shed a little light on it. Also, this kind of is going to roll into another video that I'm working on that hopefully will be available to you Wednesday about the state of movies and TV and kind of Disney as a whole. I'm kind of shining a light on Disney specifically in that video because I see a lot of it coming from Disney in particular. In case you haven't heard, Henry Cavill is leaving The Witcher. Season 3 has filmed and it has wrapped, and we will be getting Henry Cavill as Geralt in Season 3 of The Witcher. It will be the last time that we see Henry Cavill as The Witcher, as far as we can tell right now, unless something major were to change, and there is a little bit of talk about that kind of change coming, but unless something major changes, Geralt will no longer be played by Henry Cavill. It will instead be played by Liam Hemsworth. Let me start off by saying very quickly that this is not a video against Liam Hemsworth as The Witcher. A lot of things that I say in this video may sound like I am anti-Liam, which is not true. I'm simply pro-Henry. Cavill is an amazing actor, particularly for this role. He has a real passion and desire to bring this role to life in the most reverent way possible, in a way that closely follows the books and the video games. He has a lot of respect for the source material. That basically is where the issue is coming from. Henry Cavill has been fighting for a long time, since the first season, against the writers of the show. The writers have said multiple times openly that they don't have any respect for the original source material, that they're not fond of it, that they don't really care about the fan base, they don't really care about Geralt. They want to take the show in a new direction and put their own spin on it and just do with the property what they want to do with the property. The fact of the matter is that Henry Cavill has been fighting this for a very long time. Henry is a fan of the books, he's a fan of the video games, and he even made a promise when he first got the role to the fans by saying that The Witcher was in good hands, that he was going to do his very best to make sure that the show stayed faithful, that it was a faithful adaptation. Now, just for context, it is my understanding that The Witcher has 5 main novels, and then there are 2 short stories, and then also a sequel of sorts that I believe follows a side character, though I may be a little off on that. Full disclosure, I'm not a very close follower of the Witcher books or even the games. I've played a little bit of the games, but I'm not going to pretend to be an authority on this source. I'm only here to tell you what's actually happening over at Netflix between Cavill and the writers. But I do think it is important to let you know how much material that there is. So aside from those books, there are also 3 major video games, something like 5 spin-off games, not to mention expansion packs. And so there's a lot of content there for the video games as well. And I believe I have those numbers correct. If not, let me know in the comments below if I've missed something. But I'm in the ballpark at the very least. So there's plenty of material to choose from. Also, with that many sequels, that many books, that many video games, this series has a very big fan base, something that has kept it going for a very, very long time. So there's no doubt dedicated fans to the source material. And so when you go to start changing things, you're losing your core audience. Like I said, I've played the video games a little bit, and so that's why I wanted to watch it, because the video games are very, very good. Even though I've never had the opportunity to play them as much as I would like to, I know for a fact that the video games are very, very good. The story is very good. Just as a side anecdote on top of that, my fiance has never played a video game or read a book of The Witcher. She doesn't have any outside knowledge of The Witcher, but she has watched the show with me and has become a huge fan of the show. So even people who have no previous knowledge of The Witcher have come to love and adore The Witcher on Netflix. Specifically, Henry Cavill as Geralt is a phenomenal hit. So where is the trouble? The trouble is that the writers, as I've stated, are not fond of the source material. They are not fond of the story or where it goes or how it is told. In the meanwhile, Henry Cavill has had to fight tooth and nail for 3 seasons to keep the story true to the original source material, to faithfully adapt it all to the best of his ability. He has fought tooth and nail to do so. Spoiler warning for season 2, but this fight would include the death of Roach, Geralt's horse. In season 2, it was one of the most impactful moments of the series. A truly heartfelt moment that the writers wanted to turn into a joke. This is a true story, something about the way Geralt goes through horses, making it just a joke or something that was passive and not that big of a deal. Henry had to fight, and if I'm not mistaken, even had to write the scene partially, at least himself, if not completely himself, just to give it the emotional depth that it deserved. Roach is as much a character as anyone in the show, and though Roach is a horse that can't talk, he is also Geralt's only emotional friend for a very long time in the series. The one person he can rely on, the one person that he can talk to throughout the series is his horse, Roach. They have a very close bond and a very emotional bond, and that's evident if all you do is watch the show. You can tell this. Henry Cavill does an amazing job conveying Geralt's emotions, even though he is by and large an emotionless character. That nuance is one of the best things about Geralt and about Cavill's relationship with the character. However, the writers wanted to turn this into a joke, and I'm to understand that it took Cavill everything he had to try to get that scene faithful and the way that it should be, with the emotional depth that the moment should carry. With that in mind, obviously things have not improved during Season 3, as now Cavill is leaving The Witcher and rejoining DC to reprise his role as Superman, which is something very welcome for all of us comic book fans, because though Cavill's movies as Superman may not be the best, I think Henry Cavill is an amazing Superman, and certainly has the potential to be the best Superman we've ever seen. Cavill does care deeply for comic books. He cares deeply. He's a huge video game nerd. He loves this sort of thing. And so you know he's going to give his best efforts as Superman. There are some online who would say that Cavill is leaving The Witcher for a bigger paycheck so that he can play Superman. This is easily debunked, as Cavill himself has said that he would happily play either role or both at the same time if given the opportunity. Now, there has been a large pushback against these writers online, including a petition that last I checked had over 80,000 signatures to get the writers fired and to keep Henry Cavill on. I do think that that would be the best case scenario. I don't understand what the fascination is with Hollywood right now to take previously existing source materials and to change them fundamentally so that the characters are no longer recognizable to who they used to be. But there is certainly a growing resentment toward Hollywood and toward movies and toward TV shows that are completely destroying characters that we grew up on, that we loved, and ruining the stories that we have so much love for. Again, I will be talking about Disney in a couple of days. If Geralt no longer acts and behaves as Geralt, if other characters throughout the series no longer act and behave as themselves just because the writers want to see something different, then you have The Witcher in name only. You have Geralt in name only. It is no longer the character that you love, and it's no longer the story that you've come to enjoy on Netflix. Everything has fundamentally changed, and so while the places and the people still have the same names, and they may even look similar to what you have come to expect, the story that you love and that you appreciate will have all but evaporated and will be gone and dead. It is important right now for us as fans to fight back against these changes, because it is happening all over the place, and that's what I'm going to go into a little further in my Disney video that is coming up. And I use Disney because it's easier to spotlight them. They own so many properties such as Marvel and all those wonderful fairy tale stories that we grew up watching, and so many of those have been changed now drastically to where they are, again, unrecognizable. But not to dive too far into that, the final thing that I want to say about this is that Henry Cavill is a very sincere person. And if you have been following this story at all and you believe for a second that Henry Cavill is just trying to cash a quick check by switching over to DC, then you've not been paying attention. Go watch interviews with Henry Cavill. Watch this man speak about The Witcher, about the character Geralt. Listen to his passion. Listen to his love for the character, for the source material. There will be no doubt in your mind about who cares more about this project if you listen to him versus listening to what the writers have said about the project. It is without a doubt that Henry Cavill has much more passion and love for it, which is why he has to leave, because very soon The Witcher will no longer be The Witcher. And why would he stay in a role that represents something that he loves, but no longer has any similarities to that thing? Take the thing in the world that you are most passionate about, that you care the most about right now, and now imagine that simply the name of that thing is all that remained. And everything else about the core, the inside, what made it up, be it a person or be it a property or a project or something that you're working on. Maybe it is the work that you do for a living, whatever it is. Imagine that everything changed except for the name. The job that you did was different down to the very core. Everything that you represented, totally different from the day that you began. Why would you stay? There is something to be said about staying and fighting, but I think after 3 seasons, Cavill has given us all that he can, and I don't blame him from walking away from the project. There's a little bit that we can do. We can continue to sign petitions and make our voices heard online, which is why I'm making this video, not only to shed light on what is going on, but also, hopefully, it'll get passed along. It'll get shared. People will see this. People will comment. People will agree. Thumbs up. All those things. Every little bit helps. If we don't start fighting back, then everything that we have ever cared about will be fundamentally changed. And to be honest, the majority of it already has. You can see that with Marvel. You can see it with Star Wars. You can see it with Lord of the Rings. You can see it with your fairy tales. And that's what my subject on Wednesday will be about, a deeper dive into why these things are changing and why it is not a good thing to allow it to happen. Some of you see these things on the very surface level. I promise you there's a much deeper problem. But that's about it for now. I just wanted to talk about Henry Cavill a little bit. It's really sad to see where we are right now with The Witcher. I love this show, and so does my fiance. We watch a lot of shows together. We watch anime together, we watch TV together, we watch movies together, and there are certain shows that we really, really love, and The Witcher was one. Witcher is one that we mark on our calendar, and as soon as it drops, no matter what show we're in the middle of, we drop that show, we go watch The Witcher, and then we come back to the show. It holds that kind of importance for us. And without Henry Cavill, we both agreed that we're not going to watch this show. And again, it's no shot to Liam Hemsworth, but the source material should be respected. And if you don't understand that, again, I invite you to kind of do a little soul searching and look at yourself a little bit. Look at the things that you care about and understand that if those things were fundamentally changed, you wouldn't like that either. And you certainly wouldn't like other people telling you that you are somehow the problem because you can't get on board with the change that's coming. So, having said all that, let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are on Henry Cavill, on The Witcher. Let me know what your thoughts are on the change of culture in movies and cinema. Is it headed in the direction you would want to see, or is it not? Let me know all those things in the comments below. But if you disagreed with me, normally I would say don't get mad. It's just one man's opinion. But just for this one time, I would say if you disagree with me, do me a favor and do a little research and soul searching yourself and tell me that this isn't a problem and at the very least a slippery slope to what could be much greater problems in the future for everything that you've come to care about in cinema and movies. I know movies and television and books and these forms of entertainment aren't as important to everyone as they are to some. Obviously, it's a big part of my life. You can tell by me choosing to do this here on YouTube. But we all have things that we care about. We all have things that motivate us. We all have things that have influenced our lives in a positive way. And I promise you wouldn't want to see those things fundamentally changed from the ground up. Let me hear it in the comments below. Thanks for stopping by. This has been One Man's Opinion. Thanks.